Imagine walking into a store and paying $1,000 for a piece of sterling silver shaped like a heart. Not a necklace, not a ring, a keychain. Something that will spend its entire existence jangling around in your pocket or purse, scratched by keys, dropped on floors, forgotten on counters. The silver itself is worth about $20. The craftsmanship adds maybe 10 more. But you'll pay $1,000, and you'll do it willingly. Eagerly, even. Why? Because it comes in a small blue box, and that blue box, more than any product inside it, is what Tiffany & Company has been selling for over 180 years. This is the story of how a jewelry store convinced the world that a color could be worth hundreds of dollars. The year is 1837. Charles, Lewis, Tiffany, and John Young open a small stationery and fancy goods store in Lower Manhattan. They don't sell jewelry initially. They sell office supplies, Chinese curiosities, umbrellas, and decorative items. The store caters to wealthy New Yorkers looking for European sophistication. But young Charles Tiffany has bigger ambitions. He watches the European aristocracy, studies how they use luxury goods to signal status, and he understands something fundamental about human psychology. People don't buy expensive things because they need them. They buy them because other people will know they're expensive. In 1848, Tiffany makes a move that will define the company forever. Revolutions are sweeping across Europe. French aristocrats are fleeing Paris, and they're selling their jewelry to fund their escapes. Tiffany travels to Paris and buys up vast quantities of these aristocratic jewels at discount prices. He brings them back to New York and markets them as treasures from European nobility. Suddenly, Tiffany isn't just a store. It's a connection to old-world aristocracy, a way for new-world money to buy old-world prestige. The strategy works. Wealthy Americans flood the store, and Tiffany pivots entirely into jewelry. But the real innovation comes in 1845. Even before the jewelry pivot, Tiffany introduces something that seems trivial but proves revolutionary. A small cardboard box, light blue, later called robin's egg blue. At the time, most jewelers wrapped items in plain paper or generic boxers. Tiffany decides that his products will always come in this specific shade of blue, always tied with a white ribbon, always instantly recognizable. The box becomes part of the product. You're not just buying a piece of jewelry, you're buying the experience of receiving something in that blue box. The anticipation of untying that white ribbon, the social signal of carrying that blue bag down Fifth Avenue. The color choice is deliberate. Blue was associated with royalty and spirituality. Turquoise, a similar shade, was prized by ancient Egyptians and Native Americans. The specific robin's egg blue Tiffany chose felt fresh, American, optimistic. It stood out, and crucially, Tiffany trademarked it. In 1998, the color was officially registered with Pantone as number 1837, the year the company was founded. Tiffany Blue. You cannot legally use this exact shade in jewelry packaging without permission. The company owns a color. In 1886, Tiffany introduces the Tiffany setting, a 6-prong ring design that elevates the diamond above the band, maximizing its sparkle. It becomes the standard for engagement rings. Almost overnight, Tiffany becomes synonymous with marriage proposals, with love, with commitment. Young men save 4 months to buy a Tiffany engagement ring. Not because the diamonds are better, not because the craftsmanship is superior, but because proposing with a ring from a blue box means something. It says, I value you enough to buy from the place everyone recognizes as the best, even if that recognition is manufactured. By the early 1900s, Tiffany has mastered the art of luxury positioning. They open a flagship store on Fifth Avenue. The building is designed to look like a Venetian palace, elegant, refined, intimidating to anyone who isn't wealthy. The window displays become famous. Works of art in themselves. People walk by just to look, to dream, to imagine what it would feel like to shop there. Tiffany understands that exclusivity requires gatekeeping. The store needs to feel slightly out of reach, slightly too expensive. Because if everyone can afford it, it's not luxury. It's just retail. The brand solidifies further in 1961 with the release of Breakfast at Tiffany's. Audrey Hepburn stands in front of the Fifth Avenue store at dawn, wearing a black dress and pearls, eating a croissant and drinking coffee from a paper cup. The image becomes iconic. Tiffany becomes not just a store, but a symbol. A place where dreams happen, where magic exists. Millions of women around the world now associate Tiffany with Audrey Hepburn, with elegance, with romance. The movie wasn't paid product placement, but it might as well have been. It embedded Tiffany into global popular culture in a way no advertising campaign ever could. Now, let's talk about the key. In the late 20th century, Tiffany faces a problem. Their core products, engagement rings, and fine jewelry are expensive. Most people buy them once, maybe twice in a lifetime. The company needs entry-level products, items that allow younger or less wealthy customers to participate in the brand, to own something from Tiffany. To carry that blue box, the solution is a line of small silver accessories, keychains, bookmarks, money, clips, paperweights, items that cost $30 to $50 to produce but sell for hundreds or even thousands. They return to Tiffany collection. Launches, each piece is engraved with the words, "Please return to Tiffany Co., New York," along with a blank space for the owner's name. The tagline is clever. It suggests that these items are so valuable, so precious, that if lost they should be returned like a missing pet. But the reality is simpler. The engraving is branding, a permanent advertisement etched into the product. Every time someone sees your keychain, they see Tiffany's name. You become a walking billboard. And you paid for the privilege. The sterling silver heart tag keychain becomes one of Tiffany's best-selling items. It's simple. A flat silver heart dangling from a ring. The heart is maybe 2 inches wide. The silver weighs less than an ounce. The current market price for sterling silver is roughly $25 per ounce. So the raw material cost is about $15. Manufacturing, even with skilled labor, adds maybe another $10 to $20. Total production cost, $30 to $35. Retail price, $1,050. That's a 2,900% markup. For context, luxury brands typically operate on markups between 200 and 800%. A designer handbag that costs $300 to make might sell for $2,000. That's a 566% markup. High, but standard for luxury. Tiffany's keychain markup is 5 times higher, and it's not an outlier. The brand's silver bookmark sells for $400. The sterling silver straw, yes, an actual drinking straw, sells for $350. A paperclip, made of silver and stamped with the Tiffany logo, is $450. Why do people buy them? The blue box? That's the honest answer. When you give someone a Tiffany gift, even if it's just a keychain, you're not giving them $35 worth of silver. You're giving them a Tiffany blue box. You're giving them the experience of receiving something from Tiffany. You're giving them a story they can tell, a social signal they can send. The woman carrying a Tiffany keychain isn't advertising her keys. She's advertising that someone, herself or a partner, spent money at Tiffany, that she belongs to the tribe of people who own Tiffany items. The psychology here is ancient. Humans are social creatures. We signal status through display. Wearing expensive clothes, driving luxury cars, carrying designer bags, and now, dangling high-end. Tiffany has simply productized this instinct more efficiently than almost anyone else. They've stripped luxury down to its essence. A logo, a color, a box. The product itself almost doesn't matter. The heart tag keychain could be made of plastic, and if it came in a blue box with Tiffany stamped on it, people would still buy it. Maybe not for $1,000, but they'd pay more than it's worth. Tiffany's financial success proves the strategy works. In 2023, the company reported over $5 billion in revenue. The brand operates over 300 stores in 20 countries. LVMH, the luxury conglomerate that owns Louis Vuitton, Dior, and dozens of other high-end brands, acquired Tiffany in 2021 for $15.8 billion, one of the largest luxury acquisitions in history. Why? Because Tiffany has achieved something incredibly rare. They've made their brand synonymous with an entire category. When people think engagement rings, they think Tiffany. When they think luxury gifts, they think blue boxers. That kind of brand equity is nearly impossible to build and even harder to replicate. But here's the uncomfortable truth. There is no meaningful difference between Tiffany's silver and anyone else's silver. Sterling silver is a standardized alloy, 92.5% silver, 7.5% other metals, usually copper. It's the same whether you buy it from Tiffany or from a craft store. A silversmith could make an identical heart tag keychain for $50 in materials and labor. You could buy it on Etsy for $100. It would be indistinguishable from the Tiffany version, except for one thing: it wouldn't come in a blue box. And that's the entire point. Luxury isn't about quality. It never has been. Luxury is about scarcity, real or artificial. It's about signaling, about belonging to a group that can afford to pay more than something is worth. Tiffany hasn't invented better silver or better craftsmanship. They've invented a more effective signal,